Alright, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hey, it's another MMA Talk with Isaac Nanez. Owner, proprietor, overall good guy over at Gorilla MMA, located out in Sunland Park, New Mexico. I see you got yourself a new sign.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to go out there, basically head out Sunland Park. You got the racetrack on your left-hand side. They got the area where the horses kind of train on the right-hand side. You're going to turn into that neighborhood, and then when it's on Victory Lane, and then you'll see the Gorilla MMA sign with the arrow pointing to head on into that that parking lot there.
Yeah, space 8.
So I'm hoping this is streaming live because it's not popping up on mine at all. Which is odd. Let me check something real quick. I'll try to keep up with the YouTube comments if I can, but for some reason the live stream is not popping up on the laptop. But we meant to do, obviously, some MMA talks before and after, UFC, what was it, 229. That was the big one. That was the McGregor-Khabib fight. But unfortunately, that was also the weekend of Street Fest here in El Paso, so we got busy with a bunch of other things. I caught the fight on Periscope. I was watching it while I was at the concert, and right when Jonathan Davis was wrapping up the set was right when the fight ended. I missed what happened, and as I'm walking, I'm like walking through people to go to the bathroom. As I'm walking in, that's when the whole kerfuffle happens, and it became a big issue. And I couldn't figure out what happened, but it was just basically a shit show where Khabib jumps out of the ring. Dana White talked tough up until a point when Khabib threatened to leave the UFC, and all of a sudden you realize, well, I can't get my big payday of McGregor versus Khabib 2 if he's not in the UFC anymore. So then Dana White backs off and realizes I need to keep this guy around. But the end-all be-all was that fight kind of went how I thought it was going to go. Where it was, it's McGregor's, like, you could tell that he had Khabib, I don't want to say shook or anything like that, but he was doing things that nobody's ever done to Khabib. He won a round, actually.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
I think that was more Khabib breathing
Mhm.
than anything. Because, I mean, he mauled him. And to McGregor's credit, he did the right thing. He did a lot of right basic things to get out of certain positions, but honestly, the rematch is going to go the exact same way. Because that level of wrestling and that level of the transition and that chain wrestling isn't there. You have to be integrated. He's been doing it since he was infant. So, I mean,
He's been wrestling bears for crying out loud.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just that it's going to go the same way. Unless McGregor, again, lands some kind of...
I mean, you always got a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
I mean, there could always be the possibility of him coming in with a solid punch and taking out, and knocking out Khabib because he has that power. He has that ability to do that. Of course, of the two fighters, McGregor was the one that got knocked down at that one point, and then he got right back up, and then he landed some good stuff on Khabib. It was a good fight from what I saw. I wasn't watching it as intently as I'd hoped because, well, Jonathan Davis couldn't stay. But also, so coming up, we got a quick turnaround here for UFC 230, where you've got Daniel Cormier defending his heavyweight belt against Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis just fought at UFC 229. So he's only going to have about a month in between. Now, Derek Lewis, he's also the guy that had the most boring heavyweight fight ever when he fought Francis Ngannou, and there was almost no punches thrown. Both guys are just, atomic bombs in their fists.
Yeah.
I mean, they're swinging hard, and neither one of them wanted to get close to the other one at all. So he had that fight, and then he was on the main card. He was the fourth to last fight, and he beat Alexander Volkov by knockout in the third round. So he got a shot now at Daniel Cormier. Now, my understanding was they were building up this whole stupid Brock Lesnar thing so that Lesnar would come and fight Cormier for the heavyweight title. Apparently, that's not the case. Have you heard anything about that?
I mean, there's always talk with Brock Lesnar. It's always kind of like people always mention him. He's a big payday. Everyone wants to fight Conor because that's known.
Yeah.
They want to fight Brock because it's the same case. It's just a payday.
It sells pay-per-view.
Yeah. And honestly, for someone like Cormier, Brock is an easy fight. Super easy fight. He's gonna outmaneuver him. He's gonna land. He's gonna You're gonna do the same thing that King did, but maybe even quicker. So that's gonna be component.
So what about this Cormier Lewis fight? Is Lewis going to be able to do what he wants to against Cormier, or is Cormier going to be able to take this thing to the ground?
I think Cormier's gonna outbox him. Cormier's footwork is really, really good, and that's what made him a good wrestler too. Obviously to get taken down, you have to get taken off his feet. You have to have good footwork. He transitioned it in a way so that his footwork goes into his boxing. He's a good boxer. He lands. He's agile and he's a big dude. And he's twisting these boys up overhead.
So you got that fight coming up. And we'll get more into that fight. I think we'll try to do an MMA talk like that Friday before that actual fight. Now the question for you is, 2 weeks before the fight, who are you picking in that one? Is it Cormier or Lewis? Cormier. Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to go with that one. Another big fight that's coming up here at UFC 230. That's going to be Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman kind of seems to be, I don't want to say necessarily bad, but he had a pretty big drop off there for a little bit, where he defeated Silva. Which a lot of people can look at Weidman and they want to call it a fluke in the sense that he caught Silva when Silva was acting goofy, and then in the rematch was when Silva broke his leg in half. But then shortly after that, for Chris Weidman, he went up against Lyoto Machida. He got a decision victory. Went up against Vitor Belfort, got a TKO victory. But then after that, 3 straight losses. He lost to Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, and Gerard Mousasi. Recently got a victory against Kelvin Gastelum. When was this fight? July 22nd of last year was the last time that he fought. So it's been well over a year, and he's getting his rematch against Luke Rockhold. It being almost a year and a half since Weidman has been there, do you think we're going to get the same Weidman? Do you think he's been working on some other stuff? Or
I don't know. I think one of Weidman's problems is weight cut. He's huge. He's enormous, and then he cut down to that weight, and he's getting older. It's harder to do it, and I think he might want to consider going up, but we'll see. I don't, because Calvin's a small middleweight. That should be a welterweight. He just likes to pop it. So it just needs to.
Yeah, Gastelum is he's listed at 5'9", and he's got a fight coming up where he is going to be because he's a coach right now on The Ultimate Fighter, where it's him and I've been watching this damn season and I'm completely blanking on who it's the Australian dude, and I'm already forgetting his damn name. I'll have to look that up here in a second, but. So we have that one coming up. One of the things
Robert Whittaker.
There you go. So one of the things that's been brought up on this recent season of The Ultimate Fighter is the communication barrier. And they had a girl from the United States. She's really the only one that speaks English only on the team. And a storyline that they had kind of been leading up to through a few different of the episodes was that she was frustrated with how they were training. She didn't think they trained hard enough. She couldn't understand what they were saying. She felt confused a lot. And then her fight came up, and they kind of kicked it up a notch, and they were giving her more of a how do you want to train kind of an aspect.
Yeah.
So she was able to do that. She ended up getting the victory. She won. But have you ever run into that instance where there might be a language barrier or some sort of barrier between coach and the fighter? Maybe not one that you're involved in, or maybe you've heard a story from somebody where like that frustration will kick in, and that's going to limit how that fighter is going to be able to perform in their upcoming fight.
No, that's pretty. Because you tend to choose someone that you can communicate with in good place. Now I don't know anybody who's been forced into a situation. That's weird. And then most martial arts disciplines have their own language. Like they have their own way of doing things. So you go to jiu-jitsu in Japan, it's gonna be real similar to, or anywhere you go, right? You're gonna have like the movements and have an understanding, the following kind of certain subcultural things to communicate with. But I guess at that level, I never heard that.
But of course, it's different too because she was picked by that team to go, because they picked the fighters kind of like old school playground mode where it's I picked this person, you pick this person.
No one took that into consideration. No one said anything about their language.
And what was odd was as you're kind of watching the season, like she's drifting towards the team because as they're hanging out at the house, all of that other team speaks English, so she's the one that she's communicating with, and they showed all these awkward moments where certain guy they're trying to She's trying to communicate, and there's a lot of confusion there, and there's a lot of issues, and you can tell that it was very frustrating. I thought she dealt with it very well, though, and she ended up winning her fight. So another thing coming up, I'm going to fast forward all the way to UFC 232 at this point, because this one is a big card to wrap up the year. I believe this one is happening December 29th, and it's T-Mobile Arena in Nevada. This is the one where you've got the return of John Jones and the rematch against Alexander Gustafsson.
Yeah, that was good.
And so this one, so if you don't remember, I believe it was 2013. Their fight is considered one of the best fights in UFC history.
Yeah.
Like, their first matchup was epic, and Jones won by decision victory. So this rematch is pretty big. Now, Johnny Bones Jones, he has not been in the octagon in quite a while because he's got his own issues. I got to interview Dana White back in, I want to say it was around 2009. And I asked him a question of, who do you see as the future of the sport? Who do you see as somebody who kind of be the star that you can, that everybody will know, that will be that household name? Because you've had like a guy like Randy Couture or Chuck Liddell. Like, those were the guys that you knew who they were. Even the non-UFC fan would have an idea of who these people were. Ronda Rousey, perfect example. People knew who she was. And he mentioned at that time, he was like, John Bones Jones. Like, this is going to be the guy. He's a physical freak. This guy's amazing in the octagon. He's going to be that next level guy. And the problem that he ran into, obviously, was the fact that Johnny Bones Jones can't stop doing drugs.
Yeah,
both, like, actual just illegal like substances, and then also performance enhancing drugs.
Well, he's that sense of entitlement. But that also kind of adds to his confidence and makes him good. It's that self-belief that makes him so unstoppable, but it also makes him self-destructive.
And he's got a couple of brothers in the NFL. At least I know his one brother, Chandler Jones. I believe he's still playing for the Cardinals. He was drafted by the Patriots. And then his other brother, Arthur Jones, I think he's still in the league, but I'm not 100% sure. I think he plays for the Baltimore Ravens, but I could be wrong. But the way that Johnny Bones Jones' career is gone, his one loss was at Matt Hamill, and that didn't have anything to do with what Matt Hamill did. It had everything to do with what Jones did.
Yeah.
So if you had the guy on the ground, you're not allowed to strike down with your elbow, and he kept doing it, and that ended up getting him DQ'd from that fight. Since then,
stupid rule, by the way.
You know why they put that in, apparently?
Because someone saw someone break a break or something.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah, so like the way that rule came into play was it was bricks or ice or something, where they saw the amount of force that somebody could generate by bringing their elbow down, and that was why all of a sudden like, oh well, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Like that can't be, this gruesome sport, we can't allow that, which was
and this is, people don't understand. It's basic mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm using just my arm to come down, that's not more dangerous to me. I'm on top of you, using my entire chest. I'm turning into it. I'm throwing an elbow right on your face.
That's going to come in harder.
Yeah, that's where.
But that's legal.
Yeah.
This one, not.
They just need to go back. They need to amend that.
So Jones, he won the light heavyweight championship. He defended it multiple times. He beat Daniel Cormier back in 2015. He defended it again in 2016, and then he defeated Daniel Cormier again in 2017. But that one was overturned because of the failed drug tests. So we're talking again with him. It's been about a year and a half. It will be about a year.
What do you feel with that? That was a PED.
What was it? Actually, it says right here on Wikipedia, a failed positive test for turinabol is an anabolic androgenic steroid. So you've got Alexander Gustafsson taking on John Jones. John Jones been out of the octagon for about a year and a half. Continues to have run into the laws and everything, and like this dude apparently just doesn't get it. But then you're talking about Alexander Gustafsson, his last fight too, over a year and a half ago, where he beat Glover Teixeira. A bit rocky for Gustafsson after he lost to Jones. He got a victory, but then he lost to Anthony Johnson, lost to Daniel Cormier, and now he's gotten a couple victories back. But at this point, like with both fighters kind of being away for so long, what kind of fight do you think we're going to get? Do you think we're going to get the pinnacle of these guys, or do you think it's going to be that we got to knock some rust off here?
I think they're gonna give us a great fight. I doubt it's gonna. We'll see if it's as good as the first one, but it would be a one-sided fight. It would be kind of boring if one of them did have that advantage. One of them did have time in the cage, training not because they both had a layoff.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be
starting more kind of even keel,
Yeah.
like they're both starting from the same point.
and somehow I thought Gustafson won the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought he won it handily. He outworked him, he pressured him, he got a takedown, which is crazy, and I think Gustafson has the formula to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So
So that one's coming up. This is UFC 232. So we're skipping ahead a few here. So we got 230 coming up next, and then you got 231, 232. This is the one that's going to wrap up the year. The other big fight from that night, that's going to be Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes. So you got two like massive head, and I hate saying this because with like 3 months to go or 2.5 months, or however much time we have until we fight, that's a lot of time for fighters to get hurt back out.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Bones Jones to get arrested again. Like there's so many things that can happen. And I hate saying because that's one thing that's happened with the UFC recently is you get these like just awesome cards and like these fights you're looking forward to, and then somebody gets hurt during training camp or something happens and they got to pull out. Like there's like all these things happen, so I get nervous talking this far ahead. But this is one that I'm really really looking forward to with the Jones Gustafson fight and now this Chris Cyborg Amanda Nunes fight.
That one is gonna be man. And you know what? I'm edging Nunes on that. I really am.
Good, because that's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I really think she's not gonna be intimidated by Christian Power because Amanda Nunes is a monster herself, and she's gonna be just as not honestly just as strong. She's gonna be comparable in strength to Cyborg on the day. Let's see who's stronger, but it's gonna be she's gonna be close. She's gonna be close depending on the weight cut, a lot of other variables, but I think she's gonna edge it. I'm kind of excited to see that.
Well, when you're looking at Cyborg's record, she started her career off 0-1. She got submitted by Nibar, but after that, it's nothing but victories. She does have one no contest after she tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And for Cyborg, you're like, dude, or it's a chick on drugs. And I hate saying that, but like, Chris Cyborg has bothered me for a while, and I would love to see Nunes get the victory on this one. So for Nunes, her career started exactly the same. She started off with
and it's funny because everybody likes this girl. She's really sweet.
See, I like she gets like she bugs me. Like I don't know, like she might be a nice person. Like I don't know, it's perfectly fine, but I want to see her lose. So we got that one. That one's coming up, UFC 232. We'll get predictions from Isaac when we get closer to that one. We'll probably have to do an MMA talk earlier because that's gonna be right in that holiday season. When people are gonna be busy doing family stuff. But we'll try to get it so that we can do an MMA talk right before that one because this is gonna be a big fight for UFC 232. But the big one that we have coming up, that one is UFC 230. Cormier, Lewis. You're saying you're taking Cormier in the title bout. And again, you got Derek Lewis. He's coming off of 1 month of just fighting. And then even before that fight he had with Ngannou wasn't that far before that.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's looking at having how many fights did he have already this year? He's had 3. He fought in February, July, and October.
Wow.
So this will be Lewis's 4th fight here in 2018.
It might be a good thing. I mean, if you keep him active and you kind of keep him forward to speak, because I don't know what he's doing. He's getting that tired. He's a professional athlete. That's saying something about his work ethic.
Well, because he's done it before. Back in 2016, he fought 4 times, all victories. It looks like 3 of them came by either knockout or TKO, and then he had one that went to a split decision. That was when he defeated Roy Big Country.
So would it get the losses from layoffs, or is there a layoff before a loss?
A layoff before a loss? No, because here when he lost to Mark Hunt, that was just a few months before that one. No, I mean it's looking like just a few months right before a loss.
But he's busy in general. Huh?
Yeah, he's fought. He's been active since 2010, and he's got 26. Yeah, he's got 26 fights under his belt. But yeah, so this will be his 4th fight of this year. But you're taking Cormier, and then in the other kind of big fight, Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman. Does Chris Weidman continue to win on recovery from his little,
I think
or is Luke Rockhold going to be the guy?
Well, I think Weidman's gonna edge it. I think Weidman's gonna edge it just because Rockhold is slipping. Rockhold's going on. He's not who he was. He's gonna finish him. He's not gonna. He's tricky. He's got real good tools, but everybody's kind of got his tools, and he's not setting them up the right way. Mm-hmm. So now everybody's climbing it, and he's gonna get found.
Well, and you're talking about a guy, Luke Rockhold. He gained the middleweight championship when he beat Chris Weidman back in 2015. Then he lost it the following year, about 6 months later, when he lost to Michael Bisping. Then he got a victory over David Branch, but he's also coming off of a loss to Yoel Romero that happened earlier this year, back in February. So you're taking Weidman and Cormier for UFC 232 is the other one coming at the end of December. So we'll call that a wrap on this edition of MMA Talk. Isaac Nanez from Guerrilla MMA. Again, it's located out in Sunland Park here in El Paso. If you're heading out Sunland Park, you've got the casino on the left. You've got kind of the training horse track on the right. Make your way through there to Victory Lane, and then it'll be on your right-hand side. You'll see the sign that says Guerrilla MMA right over there. And you've got, it's been a while actually since I've been out to Guerrilla MMA. Getting married kind of took some time up, and then the whole shoulder injury thing. We were actually talking about that before we started this, trying to figure out what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
So you got the kids' classes. Those are going 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock. We run Monday to Wednesday, 5:45. And it's everything. Everything is commercial.
It's not just boxing. It's not just grappling. It's a combination of the entire sport of mixed martial arts. And then you've got the adult classes that kick off 6 o'clock. Big group stuff. Really good people out there.
Yeah. So we got grappling Monday, Wednesday. We do our grappling. It's more cat wrestling. And then we have our boxing Tuesday, Thursdays, time Monday, Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Open gym Fridays and open gym now at Saturdays and 12.
There you go. Yeah. And if they want to get a hold of you, what do they do?
915-920-0517 or Instagram.
There you go. All right. So on that note, we got Cormier and Weidman, according to Isaac Nanez, for UFC 230. And I think we might even try to do one of these right before UFC 230 because we're still a couple of weeks away from this.
I'm pretty spot on with those predictions.
This one, that's true. Isaac's been pretty good.
Yeah.
We're looking at, we're still a couple of weeks away. It's November 3rd is when that one's coming up. So we'll try to do one maybe on November 2nd if we can, so in a couple of weeks or right after Halloween. And we can double check and make sure Isaac's really sold on Cormier and Weidman as your victors in the final fight.
Take place your bets.
Based on him?
Yeah.
Do it. Wave goodbye, Isaac.